The council chambers fell silent as Ambassador Stephen walked to the podium, his boots echoing against the crystalline floor. 300 species watched him from their floating platforms, their collective consciousness humming with curiosity and apprehension. Betty stood behind him, her hand resting on the data tablet that contained humanity's petition. A petition that would change everything. Honored members of the Galactic Council, Stephen began, his voice steady despite the weight of 1 trillion souls depending on his words. We come before you today to challenge Article 447 of the Interstellar Covenant, the law that prohibits humanity from joining the Unified Defense Force. A ripple of alarm spread through the chamber. The Korati delegate, a being of pure energy contained within a magnetic field, pulsed an angry crimson. This discussion was settled millennia ago. The warlike species clause exists for the protection of all civilized beings. Betty stepped forward, activating the holographic display. Images materialized in the air, humanity's blood-soaked history laid bare for all to witness. The trenches of ancient wars, the mushroom clouds of nuclear devastation, the countless conflicts that had marked Earth's journey through the stars. Yes, Stephen said softly, we are a species forged by war. Every generation of humanity has known conflict. We've fought over land, resources, ideologies, and beliefs. We've turned our own planet into a graveyard more times than we care to count. The Tavalan High Speaker, a serpentine creature with scales that reflected the ambient light, hissed in agreement. Then you understand why you must remain quarantined to your system. Your kind brings only death, do we? Betty's voice cut through the murmurs like a blade. She changed the display, showing humanity's response to the Krell invasion 5 years prior. While the image showed human vessels, she spoke of what official records omitted. When the Krell swarm attacked the Delphian colonies, every council species retreated. Every species except one. Stephen continued the narrative. The Delphians are a peaceful species. They've never developed military technology. Your laws prohibited them from creating weapons, from learning the art of war. When the Krell came, they had no defense. The council debated for 3 days while millions died. We are a species of laws and order. The Korati delegate protested. We cannot simply. Humanity didn't debate, Betty interrupted, her eyes flashing with controlled fury. We had no legal right to interfere. We weren't even members of your council. But we came anyway. 53 human vessels against a swarm of 10,000. We lost 41 ships. 8,000 human souls died that day. The hologram shifted to show the aftermath. Delphian children emerging from shelters, their bioluminescent bodies flickering with life because humans had stood between them and annihilation. Stephen's jaw tightened as he spoke. You call us warlike, and you're right, but you misunderstand what that means. Yes, we know war. We know it better than any species in this chamber. We know its cost, its horror, its soul-crushing weight. And because we know it so intimately, we also know when it's necessary. He gestured to the council members. The Korati have existed in peace for 50,000 years. The Tavalan haven't seen conflict in 12,000. You've built a beautiful civilization on the principle of nonviolence. But you've forgotten something crucial. Peace isn't the absence of warriors. It's the presence of warriors who choose not to fight. Betty pulled up new data, her fingers dancing across the tablet. Since humanity made first contact 20 years ago, there have been 17 border conflicts in council space. 17 times that pirates, slavers, or hostile species have threatened peaceful worlds. The council's response time averaged 47 hours. Do you know how many beings die in 47 hours when violence comes calling? The human response time, Stephen said quietly, has averaged 4 hours. We've intervened in 12 of those 17 conflicts, always without council authorization, always at risk to ourselves. We've saved approximately 4 million council citizens, beings of species that fear us, that vote to keep us isolated, that call us barbaric. The chamber erupted in heated discussion. The Korati delegate pulsed with agitation, while the Tavalan High Speaker coiled tighter around her platform. But Stephen noticed others: the Delphian observer whose skin glowed with gratitude, the Vexian merchant whose colony humanity had saved from raiders. You prohibit us from your defense force because we're forged by war, Betty said, her voice rising above the chaos. But that's exactly why you need us. We don't want war, we've tasted its bitterness across 10,000 years of history. But we're willing to wage it so others don't have to. We're willing to carry that burden, to stain our hands so yours remain clean." Stephen placed both hands on the podium. "Every human child learns the lessons of our brutal past. We teach them about the horrors of unchecked aggression, about the millions who died in our ancient wars. We remember because we refuse to repeat those mistakes. But we also teach them something else, that there's a difference between being warlike and being warriors. The difference," Betty added, "is choice. A warlike species seeks conflict. Warriors stand ready to prevent it, and when prevention fails, they stand ready to end it swiftly to minimize suffering." The hologram changed one final time, showing a simple image: a human soldier, battered and bleeding, cradling a Delphian child in the ruins of a colony. The soldier's eyes reflected exhaustion and sorrow, but also unwavering determination. Article 447 was written in fear, Stephen concluded. Fear of what a warlike species might do. But we're not asking you to trust our nature, we're asking you to judge us by our actions. We've bled for your citizens. We've died for your principles. We've proven that being forged by war doesn't make us warmongers, it makes us guardians. The vote took 3 hours. When it concluded, Article 447 was amended by a narrow margin. Humanity would be permitted to join the Unified Defense Force, with restrictions and oversight. But the door that had been closed was finally opened. As Stephen and Betty left the council chambers, she glanced at him. "They still don't trust us." "No," he agreed. "But they're learning too. And someday, they'll understand what we've always known: the best warriors are those who've seen war's true face, and still choose to stand between the innocent and the darkness behind them." The council continued its session, unaware that humanity's addition to their defense force would, in time, prove to be the decision that saved them all. Because when the Void Collective arrived from beyond the galactic rim, it wasn't laws or debate that stood against them. It was warriors, human warriors, forged by war, tempered by sacrifice, and finally given the chance to protect a galaxy that had once feared them, and they did not fail.